Spark a conversation, verbal elation, stimulation, education. This is Menage with the Mary Jane Maven. When we on the air, it's always a lituation. Might talk about some litigation, might talk about some immigration, might talk about some politics, but never talking nonsense. Yes, we on in the slide. Watch and listen, it's a vibe. Watch it while you getting high, or you can listen while you drive. Just don't forget to subscribe.
Roll up. Trying to get high.
Welcome to Menage with the Mary Jane Maven podcast with your host, the Mary Jane Maven. I am the producer, the hubby. Follow us on all social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Show us some love and click that subscribe button now. Don't forget to click the bell so you get notifications and click the like button on the videos.
And now, your host.
Hello. Welcome to the Menage with the Mary Jane Maven podcast. You know who it is. It's your girl, Mary Jane Maven. How are you all doing today? I hope that you're having a blessed day full of love and light. I hope that you are elevated properly and that you are living the best luminous life that you can. Because you know I am. Trying to anyway. So I want to start the day off and start this episode off by reminding you all, please, I know you love me. I know you do. And I love you too. But to show that love, please go like, follow, subscribe, press that button, share, leave us a comment, be involved. Let's be interactive. If you guys have kids, you know, they're like on Netflix, those whole interactive, shows that you can do. I think I have a little more fun than my son does. It's kind of like the Choose Your Own Adventure books. Choose your own adventure with me. Be interactive. Let's get it together. Shout out to, of course, Full Swap Radio as well, which, of course, we are a family member. That is somewhere else that you can find my podcast. This one, plus the other, 3 out of the 5 that you'll be able to find on Full Swap. So shout out to them as well. You guys know where to follow me. You know where you can holler at me. So please do that. We have a very, very special guest today. This has been a this has been a thing in the making for some months now. But as I mentioned to her, this is the universe knows exactly what the hell it's doing. And this is the perfect time. I feel that it's perfect because, as I mentioned last episode, this is a very special month. I want everybody to go ahead and be just as excited as I am, because this is an important time in our society's history. It's my birthday month. Shout out. Hey. Imagine all those going back. March 23rd, don't forget. I'm not gonna let you forget. No. Thank you, hubby. So, good morning to him as well. My sexy hubby, my producer, my supporter, my best friend. So, we also have a very special month because this is a time in history that should kind of like Black History Month. Black history should be every day. Women's History Month, women's history, the greatness and the fierceness and the fabulousness of women should be celebrated every day as well. But March is Women's History Month. And so this whole month that we're going to be having guests that, are either women, of course, don't have to actually be in the cannabis industry, or those that love women and that support and work with women. So I think we have a couple of male guests lined up for the latter part of the month that work very closely with, like I said, with women. So before I ramble off for the next 30 minutes to an hour with you guys, I do want to introduce you to today's guest co-host. Thank you so much. So as I mentioned, this guest co-host has been a minute in the making, but I am so excited to have her on. Coach Ash is a cannabis entrepreneur with a master's in medicinal cannabis science and therapeutics. Look, okay, Black people, science. Come on, if we don't go ahead and get in there, get in where we fit in. She's co-founded a culinary event company called Green Light Project that hosts elevated edible experiences, and a consulting company called Winning Coaching that provides HR workshops for leaders and management teams. After the pandemic, there's a lot of organizations that definitely need those kind of workshops, especially if they've made the pivot to home, people being on home and being, remote. Got to bring that back together. You got to keep the productivity up and keep those relationships as strong as they can be. And so I want to welcome, and please, everybody else, welcome as well, the fantastic. This woman is going to be made. We're going to be hearing about her within the cannabis industry and I think other business aspects for a very long time. So everybody, please welcome our guest co-host, Coach Ash.
Oh, yes.
Welcome.
Come through with the affirmations and the manifestation. Yes.
Yes, I love that. Oh, love that. Oh, and reminder, did everybody set their intentions? New moon. This moon is in Pisces. It's all about creativity. It's all about being self-reflective, especially for Aries, because we're so close. But I'm gonna tell you guys now, please set your intentions. Don't think it's a weird thing. Don't be like, well, the Bible doesn't say. I'm not knocking anybody, but if that's the route that you believe in for your spirituality, that plays in hand too. Being able to set your intentions because it helps you to grow and to make those changes that need to be changed. And accountability is a huge thing for me. It allows you to be accountable. And when you're responsible for your own change, it's so much more rewarding.
Real quick, with the setting of the intentions, how long does that last? Is it like a 1 month period, a 3 month, the rest of the year?
You can do it. You definitely do it every month. You want to
Okay.
I think journaling and hoping to set your intentions every month works. But as far as when I'm working on, it's kind of like the full moon and things like that. And you want the energy. Keep this in mind, guys. We are all parts of energy. We're all part of this universe. We're all just like balls of energy. So when we're working within nature and working within the universe, everything coincides. So you may not be somebody that believes, like the moon, blah, blah, blah. But the best times to do these things and when you feel most connected and when you're most successful is when there are new moons, when there are full moons. So this was a new moon. So at the beginning of every month, that's when I would recommend. I use apps. Everybody knows I use apps. Look, it helps to keep me together. So I found an app called Moonifest. It actually helps you. It allows you to see how to set intentions, maybe like what some examples our intentions are. It tells you if you are interested in creating an altar because you want to use crystals or something like that. It allows you to learn how to do that. So it's very powerful. So that is the app that I use this month because I was kind of at a block. I kind of didn't know. You're a fan, my brain works. It's going like this all the time. So it allowed me to kind of focus on what innately I knew that I needed to kind of focus on for this month, which is getting a little healthier. It's not that I eat bad. I just probably don't eat enough because I'm moving. And then my 13-year-old eats everything in the house. He acts like I shop just for him. And he acts like he's supposed to just eat everything and go, that's what's left for us, y'all. So between my 13 and 10-year-old, both boys, they're going to keep me. They're going to keep me together. I'm not snatched, but I'm not, I'm not a Rasputia either. Like I'm not named that. So, but Coach Ash, welcome once again. This, this, like I said, has been something that I have definitely looked forward to. And, I thought this was going to be the best time. December was going to be the best time. Towards the end of the summer. Beginning of the year, first part of the year. But I think, like I said, that this month, it's a gift to me, but also, like I said, it's very powerful because of the month that we're in. So as we start, I do want to go ahead and before we jump into our spark and salutations and all that good stuff, guys, I start off every episode with a couple of quotes. So I have 2 quotes for this episode. The first one being, investing in women means investing in the people who invest in everyone else. Bars and fire. Thank you, Melinda Gates. And she knows, because if you guys don't know who that is Bill Gates' wife. You have to. She can tell you about investing in somebody else. Because I'm sure they were broke. I'm sure there was times when she was like, if you don't leave this harebrained idea somewhere else, like this ridiculous. But she does her own thing too. She's developed herself as an individual although, foundation. Yeah. 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 And I have to say the gates of people that give back, there you got dough. Okay. Dough upon dough. But they give back. So I do want to give it out to, the Caucasoids that do give back. The Wahites, there's some, they're the good ones, guys. I don't want anybody going, oh gosh. Second quote is fearlessness is like a muscle. I know from my own life that the more I exercise it, the more natural it becomes to not let my fear run me. That is Ariana Huffington. Also fire. If you guys don't know who she is, if you don't know great businesswoman, very smart. I mean, a cougar in heels. Okay. Just the way that you should be. She has probably been called a bitch. She's probably been called overly aggressive. She's probably been called all of those, negative things that when a man does it, it's him being, he's a go-getter. Oh, he just, he doesn't stop. He's just this. Same kind of aspect, but within a very strong woman. And you guys know how I am about fear. Lack of passion is fatal. And you cannot live within fear. You have to step out of living in fear and step into your passion and purpose. And so I really love that quote. And these are things, both of those quotes, I think really define some of the aspects that will make women so integral, of course, within our society, but just fire. I mean, we're just fire. Like we do everything.
Yeah, those are some heavy hitters right there.
Yeah,
for sure.
So I live by quotes. I live by affirmations, and they just speak volumes to me. So I like to share those at the beginning of every episode. Are there any rituals that you utilize? Like, do you look at quotes when you need to, affirmations, you meditate? What is something that you do that helps to get you in the space of realizing your power and your passion?
Yeah, it'll definitely be my morning routine. So waking up in the morning, starting off with prayer. I then hop on a 6 a.m. accountability call that I lead. And then during that call, I'm doing some kind of workout, whether it's cardio on the treadmill or,
Okay.
a workout at the gym. And then getting into the shower. In the shower, I have posted my goals and my mantra. And so making sure that I'm saying that and identifying, setting my intention for the day. So definitely the morning routine is something that's crucial for me to be able to make sure that I'm in that right space and I'm not reacting to my day. I'm, intentional and responding.
Well, I have chills. And once everybody else that watches, when I get chills, that means it's like, I'm really feeling it. I wish you could see, but I do have chills. 2 reasons. One, I'm feeling some way about myself. She says 6 a.m. Man.
Oh, yeah.
I'm very honest. Getting up for this one, hubby reminded me that he was like, babe, it's 10 a.m. And I was like, 10 a.m. where? Like 10 a.m. in different time zone, like 10 a.m. to me. I was like, what? Especially after the pandemic, because when my children are home, my husband's a teacher, the hubby's a teacher. Everybody knows. Everybody was home. So I didn't have to get up and be like, get to school.
Yeah.
Hubby got the kids up. They were downstairs. They got everything by themselves. He got up, a little bit later when he needed to. He taught from our room. So I could only hear. I learned algebra and geometry all over again. But in my sleep,
subconsciously.
Plenty of times when I was like, oh, good morning. He's like, babe, it's 12:30. 12:30. Yeah. So I will have to say I've gotten a little bit lady of leisure and gotten used to sleeping a little bit later. But so me getting jealous or feeling some way, it's the universe's way of telling me, do you hear that, bitch? Start your day a little bit earlier. But to follow up on that, if you guys read any success books, if you read, Gary Vee or anybody like that, they'll tell you the earlier you start your day, the more successful you'll be. The successful people start early. So, this is crazy to me, but somebody like Mark Wahlberg, if you really, Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch, if you want to call him successful, but he gets up at 2:30 every day.
Yeah. Do that when you're going to sleep at 2.
Well, facts.
Exactly. And
that's true. But so is that kind of is that always been, something for you that you're an early riser, early starter, or is that something that you've learned,
I wouldn't Yeah, I wouldn't say always. It's kind of been a little on and off, but definitely for the last 3.5 years since I've been a part of. I don't know if you guys have heard of Eric Thomas. He's the #1 motivational speaker in the world. ET, the hip hop preacher. He has this community called Breathe University that's about professional development and personal development.
Okay.
And so I joined that community in 2018, the latter part of the year, and ever since then, I was hopping on the accountability calls. And when I started out, like there's even a phrase that I'm known for in the community in terms of like bedside Baptist, because I started out my camera off, not saying nothing, and just really like quiet. I for sure was in the bed. But just like the quote that Ariana had mentioned in terms of building that muscle. Just doing it on a consistent basis and starting to get more comfortable to where now I'm on camera, I'm sharing, and now I've been the lead for that community the last 2.5 years.
That's
so
awesome.
It definitely didn't start out that way, but that's where it is now.
Yes. Well, I have to say this as well. You have beautiful skin. Beautiful skin.
Thank you.
And if anybody knows, that goes from everybody knows. Shout out to Phaedra. That it comes from within. It's what you put in your body. It's the sleep that you get. It's the exercise. So I imagine that being that you're up by 6, you probably see bedtime at a reasonable hour. You probably get a good amount of sleep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Now, are you I did see a little Starbucks or a little coffee cup. So you do have that vice, but are you preferably a more plant-based eater, or do you just kind of monitor what you put in your body? I know you mentioned physical exercise, so that's obviously part of your routine every day. But what else?
That's interesting.
Yeah, what else do you do? Your skin. I'm looking. I'm like, man, I got makeup on. I told her to put the camera a little further away.
Nah, thank you. Yeah, I have some tea in here. I actually don't drink coffee, but this is
a
medicine ball because I'm getting over this little cold. But I don't necessarily have a specific diet or regimen. I have been more intentional this week in particular. Like, you know what? I want to kind of stay away from meat. So I got some jackfruit and made some jackfruit tacos. I did, or not necessarily meat, but like I guess chicken, or I still eat fish, and so like more of the pescatarian type deal. But just being a little bit more intentional. It's not that like, oh, I don't eat this, but just being more intentional. I've never really ate red meat like that growing up. So naturally, I don't tend to do that. So that's already great for me. So it's just more so like, if I want to be a little bit more intentional about the results that I'm looking to achieve, maybe I want to have more shakes because I'm looking to, drop some pounds this week or whatever the case may be. So it's really just mindful and being in tune with my body is kind of how I go about it.
Yeah. I like that this conversation is coming up because that's actually one of my intentions. Like I said, is to, just be more aware, more intentional about what I'm actually eating. So in the morning, I'm not a big breakfast eater, but the hubby and the kids leave, for work and school. And instead of maybe grabbing one of my kids' Pop-Tarts because I'm about to come back, climb into bed and watch, my daily pop or whatever it is, I said, let's go ahead and make a shake. Or yesterday I was out and about. We all had haircut appointments. I'm nice and fresh, guys. Nice and fresh.
Okay.
So while they wanted McDonald's, hubby wanted Mexican. I went to Vibe Health Bar. Shout out to them here in Sacramento. And got an awesome Power Bowl, garbanzo beans and fresh chicken, and just really good. I got a couple of detox shots, and I know my birthday month. Look, y'all, I revert to being 25. Okay, kicking it with all of our friends from college. Like that's my whole mentality. So I know that there's probably not going to be the best, but like my youngest son, he is 10. Him and I, we prefer like garden burgers. While hubby and Deuce, who's named after my husband, so his name Deuce. If we could have a cow in our front yard, that they would go ahead and take care of that and eat that cow. They're meat eaters for sure. But it is very important. I know, at least for me, because we know that MS chose to live with me. I've got to be, because I don't use big pharma. I don't use any medication.
Mm-hmm.
I have not consistently used any MS medication since 2006. I just try to watch what I do. We were in LA in October, 3 days hardcore. We met with my husband's fraternity had a formal, so we all got back together and really acted like we were back in Davis. Then took the boys to Universal Studios. I drove down there on little sleep. Didn't sleep that whole time, so I knew when I came back, like it was like lots of protein, lots of sleep, like lots of water. So I have to be aware of those things. Everybody knows I'm a Tito's girl. I love me some Tito's. Love some very good craft beers, but I have to be aware of that. That's not on the treatment plan for MS. So these are things that you have to be aware of. So sometimes to be able to fix things or improve things within your life, whether it's medical issues or whatever, you have to start within yourself. You can't just count on big pharma. You can't count on your doctor the whole time. You have to listen to your body and become in tune with your body, and the signals that it gives you. So
and really going back to the decisions that you're making, like you could have gone to where they were going, but you chose to make a different decision because you knew that decision was going to give you a different result that you were looking for.
Yeah. And you have to really think about the quality of your life. Do you want to be sitting on, on the proverbial, porch with your significant other when you guys are 90 hollering at each other because you guys can't hear, but you're there, you can get up and do the Cupid shuffle or whatever the dance will be then. You know what I'm saying? Like you are still spry. Your great grandkids are like, I'm going to great grandma's house. She's cracking, like, do you want to be able to do that? Or do you want to be, or do you want to try to live a life through pains and aches and, I got to take my 30 medications with me if I'm going to go to Reno for 2 days. Like, is that what you guys want to do? So I know for me, I told my boys, the day that you graduate June 1st, June 2nd, we are dropping you off at college. Take plane, airplane, ship, whatever we got to do. We're dropping you off. And they both go, but school doesn't start yet. And we're like, that's a skill that you're going to acquire in college. You're going to meet people. You're going to learn. We'll make sure you have a tent. You'll be good. You'll be good. But I'm serious because then I want to get back to, we're still always us, but I want to get to see the world, do all those things, go to France in that one town that 6 months out of the year, they're completely nude. Completely. They go to the bank, the store, everything nude. Everything. Want to go there for like a week or two. Like, I have visions. I have dreams. So everything that you do now definitely affects what you're able to do later.
Absolutely.
Yes, but I love that I can talk about that with you. So we're gonna move on, guys, here because she's a busy woman. Okay, let me tell you, you must have the greatest airline points. Like you probably you don't sit in the regular area in the airport at all, do you? You probably go to the.
I'm working on it. I'm working on getting the lounge access. That's the goal for this year. That's the goal for this year.
Let me tell y'all, okay? Let me tell you about travel. We talked about travel last week. And there's so many organizations for Black people to join to be able to travel. Let's say you want to see the world, but you never have a friend that they don't want to leave. They're like, if it's not Vegas, if it's not Miami, I don't want to go. And you're like, you don't want to go. I was gonna say Dubai, but we know what's going on in Dubai right now, so I don't want to say that. What's always been going on in Dubai, but Tibet, Turks and Caicos, or just you want to go walk across to look at the Great Wall of China, and all your friends are like, "What China? What the Chinese restaurant? Sure, but I don't want." So you are somebody that is traveling is in you, but you don't have anybody to support you. You can travel by yourself, or you can join these Black travel groups that are allowing people to go and see the world. And maybe you may not go with the group, but maybe this organization can help you to go. You know what? They don't mess with Black people. Don't go there. Or this is what you need to do. Make sure you don't wear a fanny pack. Make sure you don't do this because you're immediately known as a tourist. So traveling is huge. What would you say that? I know that it seems like you travel more for your business and and to educate and things like that. But what does it provide to you? What does being able to get out, see different parts of the country and the world, what does that added to your life?
Yeah, it's an added level or layer of exposure, right? Because when we think about the environment that we're in right now, like we can only produce or, you know, really replicate what we're seeing that's around us. I mean, it's a little different now because we have technology. We can Google Turks and Caicos and be like, oh, okay, now I'm exposed to what that is.
Right.
But it's a completely different experience when you're actually going to that place, wherever that may be, and you're immersing yourself in their culture, their way of living. It just adds a whole, you know, different perspective in terms of like your personal thoughts and, you know, how you see life, and just giving you a different or an added vision or perspective when, you know, it comes to the everyday things that you do. So it's really important to me because that level of exposure, it's almost like, you know, no other way to get it other than, you know, the people that you surround yourself with.
Yeah. And you become, I know for me, I took my boy, we went on a cruise. Well, I want to say not me, but mother-in-law has been hinting every holiday for years. Don't y'all want to get together and go on a cruise? And everybody acts like they don't hear. Like, oh, pass me the dressing. Do this. Oh, get, you know, everybody acts like they don't hear.
Yeah.
So she sold a house in Richmond, and all of a sudden, this was 2019. 2018. Sitting at home. It's the end of, beginning of 2019. So we're sitting at home. All of a sudden, I get an email. My husband gets an email. And then we didn't know it's at the same time, but my niece and nephew, my brother-in-law, all getting email. She had gone ahead and paid for everybody to go on a cruise. Now we were like, oh, she's getting us on there. For me, my parents made sure that we traveled. They made sure, whether it was Disneyland, Reno, you know, the Bonanza Ranch in Nevada, like if it was anywhere like that. And then, you know, we went on a cruise went on the Disney cruise. So I've been to Florida, I've been to Bahamas, we went to Jamaica. So I remember the memories that were created, but also remember that I've seen other parts of the world. I will tell you now, my children have more stamps in their passport than I do, because it's very important for us to open their eyes. So seeing them, once we got off that boat in Jamaica, seeing them see kids that are their same age, but that they were walking on the street with no shoes on, or that they were selling, you know, I could see, like, I watched them as we drove around, and I could see them processing and realizing, like, this is different than what I see every day. You know, they were so influenced. My babies thought that they could walk around Jamaica with no shoes on. I was like, if you don't put your this, they can't touch you, or, you know, like, put your shoes on, boy. So what it does for a child, and it allows them to open their eyes, it still does the same thing for us. We never stop learning, guys. We never stop learning. And like I said, being grateful for what you have is huge. I remember seeing somebody cook in a big, like, it looked like a witch's cauldron, big, you know, to me. She was on the front, you know, lawn, just mixing something. And then I remember their dog being so emaciated. This is what I remember from 14 going to Jamaica. And I remember thinking, oh, I bet not be upset because I don't get those Tims for Christmas. I bet, you know what I'm saying? Like, it made me realize at 13, 14, like, I have so much more than these people. My mom doesn't have to cook on the front lawn. So we'll talk more about your travels, because that plays into everything that you're doing. But we are going to allow for everybody, if you haven't already, let's get your spark and salutation going. You guys know, get your edibles, get your drinks, get your pre-roll, you know, go ahead and do what's spiritual to most people who are, you know, connoisseurs. You like to break it down, get your grinder together, roll up, do what you do, roll up, like DMX says. But this is going to lead us, because for this spark and salutation, RIP. Still can't believe it that he's no longer with us. But so for this episode, a brand that I'm loving right now, I mean loving, hubby can attest. I don't make purchases of products too often. I get what medicine that we need for the week or whatever, and then I keep it moving. We had a drive to go see my mother-in-law the other day. Very stressful. There was a dispensary right next door to us. I was like, we're going to go there. And plus, there was traffic coming through Davis. If you guys know anything about afternoon traffic coming through Davis, coming back to Sacramento, it's like everybody in California is driving at that time. So I was like, you know what? Let's go ahead. I'm going to go over to the dispensary over here. Shout out to Highway 80 Dispensary. And I'm going to grab something, you know, and we'll go over here to the Walmart parking lot, hit it real quick, see if the traffic's gone down. I ended up picking up these pre-rolls called fruit. I've seen them a lot. You guys know I do a lot of demos and education in dispensaries, and I've been seeing this around. And I honestly thought the packaging when I first saw it that maybe it was a fruit roll-up. Honestly thought, edibles industry is growing like crazy. So I thought that. But they actually have pre-rolls, and I do believe vapes as well. Their pre-rolls are fire. Now, don't get me wrong, guys. I love to educate. We all know that the percentage of THC is not completely indicative of the high that you'll get. Okay, it's about the terps. It's about the natural essential oils, those natural juices that are within the plant. This company does infused pre-rolls, 1 gram, and I'm going to tell you, the one that we had that first day was orange tangy. I haven't coughed like that since the very first time. Oh, I know you're moving. The very first time. Sorry, guys. Hubby's doing this producing here. Saying that I'm moving too much. Didn't know he was trying to get the close-up shot. My bad. The hubby. So this is the indica. And if you guys can see, 50% THC. For those of you that are chasing that number, 50% here. Oh, there we go. I don't want to get off camera, but I have the other packages that I've purchased this week. That is my 4th one. Okay, let's just say, and that was Thursday. I'm even saying week. So 3 days. But after the first one, I'm going to tell you, it was like that very first lituation again, very first one. And if you guys remember my first time getting high, I watched Don't Take the Girl video and cried and ate and cried and laughed and then ate and cried and then watched Seinfeld. It was a whole thing. But I looked at hubby that day and I was like, well, man, I don't know about you, but I'm a little high. So we are going to, my spark and salutations for today is going to be this fruit indica. And you guys know how I am about indicas. So hopefully I am able to stay my normal high energy self off this one here. But you guys get all started there. So we are going to really quickly, before we get into, because I have tons of questions for Coach Ash. But before we get into that, I do want to go ahead and talk about my staying sane with Mary Jane for the week. And I'm glad that I'm getting ready to spark this because this might irritate me again. So my staying sane with Mary Jane, just to do a quick description again, for those of you that may not know, this is a time when, somebody, something, it really pissed you off. And you're like, ooh, if I don't get to my medicine, somebody is going to be hurt. Prime example, driving behind, like I said, a Prius driver. I don't know what it is about Prius drivers, but y'all are, I don't know if when you buy a Prius, they give you like a little special placard that's like, you are in control of controlling traffic. You think it's too fast? Stop it. Go 71 in the fast lane. Better yet, go a good 55. And then drive and act like you don't know that anybody's honking at you or anybody's driving by, looking at you like, just keep about your business. I don't know what it is, but I wish they would stop. That's a prime. That will be a forever example for me. But this week I had a neurologist appointment. Everything's great, by the way, guys. My neurologist still can't believe that I'm, doing as well as I am. All mindset. Mind's a very powerful thing. But I'm late, running late, and just a few minutes, and I'm going to pay. And you have to in Sacramento. Everything is just much like Southern California. You got to pay to park. So I slide in my card and I go to take it out because of my nails, guys. Anybody that has nails, you go to an ATM machine, anything that you got to put a card in, it's very hard to get that card back out. So it's beeping at me. I mean, I'm pretty sure that it wanted to curse, like if it could. I'm in my car searching for tweezers, something. Found a set of tweezers in my purse yesterday, which I never looked in, but I'm standing there being like, oh, I'm already late. There's nobody walking down the street. All of a sudden, 2 Black women walked towards me. They worked at the hospital. And I said, excuse me. They walked a little past me. And I said, would you mind helping me? I really need help getting my card out. One of them looked like I said, help me break into this car. Then let's steal it. And then let's go commit all kind of murders. Like the way that she looked at me. And then she went and just snatched it out, handed it to me and then stalked off. And I was like, I had to stop myself because I'm not. I'm about fixing queens' crowns, not knocking them down by calling them all kind of names. But let me tell you, and I had just set my intention, which was to give love so that it's felt everywhere and they're able to give love back. I wanted to give everything opposite of love at that time. Why was that so hard? Why was that an issue? Why can she? Sure, here you go. Thank you. Girl, I've been there myself. But she didn't want to do that. So, I hope you're having a better week because you obviously were not having a good day that day, that it was such an inconvenience for you to help somebody out. But that's my saying with Mary Jane for the week. Coach Ash, do you have any instances like that where you're just, you don't go to the plant, but you're like, I need to go work out. I need to go medicate. They're trying it.
Yeah.
Any example like that for you?
Yeah, I think for me, it's when I'm at the store, whether it's the grocery store or Target or, anywhere like that, and someone walks in front of me and like just doesn't say anything. So as if I'm just not standing there, like, no, excuse me, or like anything like that. I'm like, I'll actually say it for them. Like, oh, excuse me. And so that's definitely one of the things that like okay.
My thing is, I didn't put on an invisibility cloak. Why are you acting like I'm not here? Don't let me hold open the door for you, and you don't say that.
Yeah.
I am not a bellhop.
Those two go hand in hand.
Yeah,
those two go hand in hand for sure.
My mini me will always be like, "Oh no, excuse you." Like just heck loud. He doesn't whisper anything. So like if he wasn't a kid, adults probably would have said something.
Our 13-year-old has no coos. Like no, look, he says what he says, and we're like, damn, that's 10 years watching us. Like, oh my gosh, and this boy can't whisper. He don't try to. This boy, why are there so many white people out here with no mask on? Like he just said, yeah, that's our boy. We always say you either gonna have to have friends that fight for you, or you gonna be able to throw them hands because you, very sarcastic and very personality, like us. But he's 13, so but yes, those things drive me crazy. Hubby and I stumbled upon the Karen compilations that are on YouTube. Have you ever seen those?
I haven't, other than like the original meme at Lake Merritt kind of thing. I haven't seen anything else.
Oh yeah, that lady, look, she could have been roasted. I mean, her hair, her glasses, her clothes, and then got on her whole demeanor about what she did. Like that was enough. But she was the catalyst for all of this. Now there are at least 3 or 4 channels on YouTube that are nothing but Karen compilations. The amount of times that these women,
the one we watch a lot is Karen's in the Wild.
Yeah, Karen's in the Wild. I mean, there was one on Bart who had the nerve to be like, the Bart guy was like, get off if you're not going to put on your mask. I won't. And let me ask y'all this. I have never, ever heard of a cop saying you're under arrest and somebody going, no, I'm not. I didn't know we could do that. I didn't know that we could just go ahead and go, no, I'm not. And they go, oh, okay, no, you're not. They do. I'm going to tell you the most common things that these Karens say. No, I'm not under arrest. You're assaulting me. I have a medical exemption. I know my laws, and they don't. Oh yeah, and this is discrimination. Oh, that's the best one. Y'all don't know nothing about discrimination. Shut the hell up. Because somebody's telling you to pull your mask up or wear a mask in the Whole Foods, that is not discrimination. Oh, any advice if you guys want to get your laugh or be like these people or feel better about yourself? Because Black people are supposed to be the ones that are just so crazy and watch these, okay? It's like watching Love and Hip Hop. Love and Hip Hop was good to me because it made me feel better about myself. So if y'all grown ass people are doing this for just a little bit of money or whatever Mona's giving you, I feel so much better about myself. But yeah, so guys, let me tell you, there so many things that can drive you crazy each day, but it's really how you look at it and how you pivot from it. So this is, when I do the staying sane with Mary Jane, it's very tongue in cheek. But there are some times that I rush home and I roll up and I'm like, okay. Once again, it's about you being in control. It's about your accountability, how you let that affect your day. So that is, an example of that. But I had to get that out because I came home and just probably talked hubby's ear off about it. He's like, I heard you. And then walked by and then they came back. Like, I heard you. So we are going to, you guys know I love music. And my favorite song to smoke to for this week, and what's actually going to be my song of the week as well, is a little bit of a throwback. It is Strong by Young Dro, featuring 2 Chainz. It has to be the remix. I don't know why, but that song just knocks. Like it, I don't know why. I feel like it is brand new whenever I play it. But that is my song and my slap for the week, and the song that I prefer to medicate to for right now. Earlier in the week, it was a Work Bitch by Britney. I don't know. I go from one thing to another. I also was listening to New Kids on the Block earlier this week. Where do I go from here? Over and over and over again, like I was in 6th grade. But Coach Ash, what is it that you like? What is it that, as far as music? Music is healing. Music is great. Music can definitely help you to express and evoke some feelings that you didn't even know you had. But music plays such a huge part in my life. And for those that do medicate and use Mary Jane, it's been proven that there are, health benefits, and that Mary Jane itself does enhance the experience of music when you are elevated. But what does music help you with? Like, when do you need to turn on that music to be able to just get out of your head, or whatever it is? When is that time that you're like, let me go ahead and put on this track? And then what is your favorite track during that activity?
Yeah, so initially when, you're asking about just the music component, I go back to the exposure piece in itself. So in terms of, Jay-Z rapping about, whether it's his environment or, the million records that he sold, just in terms of like getting to that next level, or thinking about 50 Cent and his career. I've listened to his audiobook. And so just kind of giving a backstory or a perspective of like, this is why I ran the brand this way, or this is why I did this, from a business standpoint. And so initially that's kind of where my mind goes when it comes to the level of exposure within music, because, just things that I don't necessarily know or think about, like this is their reality, $1 million homes or vacations, different things like that. So it definitely goes to the level of exposure. And then one of the songs that I would say I'm thinking about is the Empire State of Mind. So just really, in terms of mentality, you can do anything, anywhere. I'm not all about New York, but just in terms of, that mentality.
And the power behind it. That's I like that you said that's like I liken that song that song is for everybody, but a version of that's like white people's Katy Perry what was it, Fireworks? People love that song. Oh my gosh, that pumps them up. And you guys know I'm not my oldest son is half white, so please don't anybody get like, oh, she talks about them a lot. It is who it is, what it is. We all live together, we all, but that song is very first of all, I could deal with Alicia Keys then. That's my theory on her. That's before she became a homewrecker. My opinion, IJS. But still very talented. She performed with Kanye when he released his Donda album. I just stumbled upon it on YouTube. Still great piano player. Like, there's so much talent behind her. But that song is very, very, very powerful. And then, you got Jay. But I love that you said Jay-Z, because, and it's funny that you say the exposure, because I grew up nowhere around any type of lifestyle that Jay-Z lived, 50 Cent lived, anybody else that, I listen to, and I'm feeling it. I'm acting like I done shot this, done this, or told this. Never have. But the way that you can connect to it, especially if they're great storytellers, it allows you to appreciate their journey, but then appreciate the fact that they have the talent to make that journey relevant through their music. So I love that. Patiently Waiting, 50 Cent, love it. Many Men, my shit. Like, that whole first album actually is what I can put on too when I'm feeling away. But I like that. And then American Gangster is Jay-Z's album that I put on when I'm like flawless, like one that I could just start over and listen to again and again. But yeah, I love that. I listen to everything, everything. So I love those examples, though. I may have to go ahead and put that in the rotation this week. American Gangster
Oh
now.
yeah, absolutely.
Yes,
Absolutely.
I love that. And did you hear that he just made another very smart business investment, and it increased his value, his worth well over $1 billion. He's well over $1 billion. I think he was
Yeah.
tired of
No, I
people saying that
didn't.
Beyonce was the breadwinner in the family. So
No,
he was
I
like,
didn't, but I'm pretty sure he's gonna write a song about it, and that's how
all
I'm gonna
right,
get that exposure. You know what
right,
I
yeah,
mean?
yeah. And I like what he's doing, because he's not bragging; he's trying to educate. In that.
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
I also get a
So
lot
in
of
terms
motivation from Drake. Drake talks so much shit, but
of
it's so much confidence, and I love it because it shows you how to exude exude your confidence, and through that confidence, you start to believe it, and when you start to believe it, it becomes real. Um, and him and Russ, I think those are two rappers that people say they talk a lot of shit and they're they're braggadocious and they're boastful. No, I think they just have that idea of like, hey, I've always wanted it. And because I wanted it, it allowed me to work hard. Because I worked hard, it came true. That's the same thing that's
yeah.
going to happen to you in anything you want in life. So, once again, I love music, and it says so much more. And I don't think that life would be life if we didn't have it. It'd be very, very, very sad.
Absolutely.
Be even crazier than what we're living through right now, what we're going through right now. But so what I want to do is I want to find out, and I want to let all of our listeners know who's Coach Ash. You like Mary Jane, you said you've been talking to her for some months. Now we want to know what's going on. So this season is about what's your why, what motivates you. So what would you say is your why for what you do? And you can just start off at square one and let everybody know about you and what it is that you do, and that you are the first woman, and especially woman of color, to get her master's in that focus and that study. So go ahead and share with this lady and like I said, we'll start. It's easy to start with what's your why.
Yeah, yeah. So just in terms of background and a little bit about me, I am an author. Me and my business partner wrote a cannabis infused cookbook called Smoke from the Pot that teaches you how to make infused olive oil, canna butter, canna shortening, and it has 40 recipes included in it as well. I'm also a development coach. So in terms of personal development and business development, that's what I do with Winning Coaching. We provide workshops and HR trainings for leaders and management teams. And then I'm also a cannabis entrepreneur. So just combining both of those businesses and any other ideas that I get when it comes to cannabis, that's kind of, what I do.
Yes, I love that. What if you don't mind me asking, what's your sign?
Sagittarius.
Okay. So I love that when you said anything that is kind of an interest to me, you're taking your skill set and your knowledge and your interest, and that becomes what you're doing. So you're not afraid of something that allows you to take on more. Right? Especially if you feel like it's your duty and your purpose and what you're supposed to do. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. Definitely not afraid of the work and enjoying the process.
Yeah. That is awesome. So what's your education, if you don't mind sharing with everybody? How did you start?
I
What
have
was your initial study? And then of course tell us about your master's.
Yeah, so I have a BS in hospitality and tourism. I went to Cal State East Bay out in the Bay Area. And then I recently just graduated with my master's in medicinal cannabis science and therapeutics, the first master's program in the nation from the University of Maryland, Baltimore. May of 2021. And so, yeah, it's been a journey. Just like anything in the cannabis industry, it's all about pioneering, and it's all about starting things, not knowing like how it's gonna go, or not having a system or a blueprint or a plan. You try and get as much information as you can, and network and work with other people who may be doing similar things. But it's all a journey, and there's no specific outline ABCD like how it is with other industries. So you just really have to be you have to have a love and a passion for it. And just kind of going back to what is my why, it's personal and financial freedom. Every day I'm getting up and I'm working and, chasing this greatness and being able to control what I can control, and, not having to have someone else have control over, me.
Or making them rich or making them successful, but you're just an employee number, but you're that employee that you're doing things, that, like I said, making them rich, making the company successful. Do that for yourself. I actually love that you say that. That is, I did 15 years in sales, corporate sales, customer service, and I was good. I was able to write my ticket anywhere I wanted, but I wasn't happy because I wasn't doing what I really needed to be doing. So during that time, I did passion parties. I sold Bulk Denim, which is a designer jeans company. I did kind of like, business to consumer, directly, kind of things. I did event planning. I planned weddings. I worked for Sacramento magazine, Sacramento wedding magazine. Just did a bunch of different things. And I always kind of thought, well, that's who I am. I'm flaky. I can't decide what I want to do. So it is what it is. No, it wasn't that I was flaky and that every couple of years I needed something different. It's that I needed to step out of fear and step into what my passion and purpose was. What I realized now was that all those years in the trenches allowed me to do what it is that I do now, because I was building that skill set. I was actually learning during that whole time. But freedom financially, as far as a career, the freedom that it provides to you as an individual, the addition and the optimal relationships and the levels of relationships that you have. So personally, your love life, all of that is improved by you being able to do your own thing. So what is your relationship with cannabis? And then really quickly, I'll have hubby. I wanted to see if he can share like just the front page or the cover. What would be the cover of the cookbook? You guys, let me tell you, it is, I have made a couple of items. I am planning to use a few more of the recipes in a birthday celebration. It's fantastic. You do a great job. Everything there is very attainable. It's easy. It's not like she's asking you to make beef Wellington. We are not on Hell's Kitchen. She's not asking you to make beef Wellington or anything, but hummus. You got breakfast things. Chicken, whole thing, waffles. But so we'll talk about that. But what is your relationship with cannabis? I know that I asked you to take part in or mention the spark and salutations, and you mentioned you do not consume. But what is your relationship, or what is your motivation to be an entrepreneur in the industry?
Yeah, absolutely. So it'll be 9 years that I've been in the industry, coming up this July. And so the earlier part, like even before I started smoking in college, and it was more so of like a recreational kind of thing. And then being a cultivation director and working around the plant, I've grown hundreds of pounds. I've grown product that's been entered into high times. And, it just kind of being around it so much, we're talking about environment, for whatever reason, I just didn't like the way that it was starting to make me feel. And so I kind of transitioned out of just consuming or smoking from a recreational standpoint to like, okay, do I need to go to sleep? Okay, maybe let me take some edibles, or let me, medicate to be able to actually use it for more of a medicinal standpoint, and being intentional about it. And so now, with my background and being in the industry for a while, it's more so of an advocacy. Even though it's not something that I consume on a daily basis or, seek to consume, I still advocate for people who need this medicine, just to be able to get through their day. So now it's more so about providing the education around cannabis for people who, and also to fighting against that negative stigma. That's something that's really big, because a lot of times people who are anti-cannabis are like, no, they don't even know why they feel that way. And so being able to really, shed light on the history of cannabis and how it came about in terms of the legalities around it, and just really providing a different perspective that people didn't necessarily know. And it's not to convince them to think that they should use it or that it's okay. It's just giving them that perspective and that education around, what it actually is.
To normalize it. I love that you say that. I was just going to say, my mission, my motto for the Mary Jane Maven is to educate, eradicate, and elevate. And that's exactly, the same thing. The first step in normalizing it and allowing the plant to live in its true power within our society, that is already part of our nature. That's where it comes from. Once again, Cat Williams put it here. No, not Cat Williams. Smokey. It was put here. It was, put here for me and you. Rose from the earth. So
God put this here for me and you. Take advantage.
Thank you. I'm sorry. Let me not do his movie any injustice. That was very disrespectful of me. I am so sorry. I apologize. You guys know that's the hubby's movie. When we watch it, I'm like, can I hear the movie or you? Do you want me to just turn it down and you're going to do everybody's lines? Because he can. Please forgive me, sir. Respectfully. So yeah, no, but it's very true. But the way that we're going to be able to educate about it is to have individuals like you and I who are passionate about it and understand the importance of the education. We can't just start a whole new business sector, whole new one. We haven't had this since, manufacturing and like in our history, in this country's history, in this world's history. We haven't had a new business sector like that since production, then technology, and now it's cannabis. So in order, just the same way that we had to educate everybody about, technology, nobody had computers back in the day. Then we used to get the, that AOL, the 1,000 hours of free AOL time, and people still were like, what is this? Now you can't even imagine people not having a computer or having their phones, which is a computer. So just the same way that we have to educate everybody about that, we're still having to educate about the responsible use of now the internet and our computers. You have to educate people about the plant. It's so important that we have to retrain, especially a whole generation that grew up during the reefer madness time, like grandparents, for example. Like our parents, they smoked something, they had a little something in the 70s, but their shit was all CD and and it was when they was listening to the flashlight and doing the bump or whatever else they did in the 70s. But that was their experience. Now they are, and I can say it, both of my parents are on too many medications for my liking. I don't want them on any. So to see their health now in their 60s, it's important for me to be able to convince them, and for me to definitely convince them and to retrain them and to let them understand, stop getting that medication. You're on 5 other medications because of that one medication that you got put on 25 years ago. So it is very important to do that education. Once that education is provided, then we can eradicate all those stigmas. Like I say, those Jeff Spicoli, you're sitting on the couch, you don't do shit, you're not a part of society. It's harmful, it's going to lead to you. Now you're going to be on crack. Be on crack in someone's alley, a little bit later. Let's go ahead and eradicate all of that. And then that allows people to elevate their lives, their existence, whatever it is, the way that they see fit. So I love that you say that. And I admire you for being able to say, especially right after college and things like, I think a lot of people smoke in the early 20s or in, their mid 20s because it is a social thing. And because so many people around you do. They don't understand the intentions behind it, the wellness behind it, the entrepreneur benefits behind it. So once that all becomes a normal process, and thoughts around it, I think this world will be a lot better. I always say the world should be like Disneyland. Disneyland smells so good all the time, and everybody's like, how? Because they pump the smells in, guys. Pump the smells in through these little vents throughout the park. If we could just put little vents all around the world and then just pump out some good smoke every now and again, and we'd all be we'd be a commercial. We'd all be I forgot that commercial from the 80s, where it was like everybody joined together. But anyways, no, it was another brand. Sorry with the C, I can't think of it. Anyways, but let me know. I'm very curious about you being in cultivation, because I want people of color, especially women, to start looking at that aspect of the industry. How did you fall into it? What would you recommend to somebody who, what skills or interest would somebody have that would lead them into being a good cultivator, or so that being an interest or, an opportunity for them? Tell us a little bit more
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah, I think it's the same with anything, just seeking and wanting to learn more. So, whether it's about the plant in itself and, the different chemical structures or the nutrients and what you're using, or if it's about, just different strains and, indica sativa, like whatever that may be. And I think just even in our daily lives, just being someone who wants to learn more, who's always open to learning, having that mindset and that skill to where it's like you don't feel like I know everything and I don't need your help, or I'm in this position where I know enough and I don't want to, or I don't need to hear anything that you have to say. And so for me, that's actually how it started. So I when I was working at the dispensary, I started to go trim on my break. So it goes back to the environment too, right? So on my break time, just to be able to be in the environment around other growers in the back where they were producing the product, I would go on my break to go trim. And doing that allowed me to be in the environment and get exposed to the people who are actually back here doing this as a job. And so I just, took that on as opportunity to be able to, do what other people aren't doing. Like people are going to their break, they're going to go smoke or medicate. At the time you're able to do that. Or whatever they're doing. I was just looking like this is an opportunity for me to get back there. And then, the opportunities came up to where it's like, all right, let me pull you back there for the rest of the day or X, Y, and Z. And it just kind of evolved from that. But I was really fascinated, like, man, yeah, absolutely. But I was fascinated, like, oh, I could actually grow what I'm purchasing at the counter. Like there's a way for me to actually grow this myself. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And so I tried out, started with two plants in a tent in my closet, and it just led to multiple rooms.
Yeah, that is awesome. So I love that you what you mentioned is like wanting and having the interest and the passion in it, and that you said trimming was kind of the catalyst, because I wanted to learn from every aspect of the industry, because I want to help people be able to get into the industry. So I went for a summer and worked doing pre-rolls, and you definitely learn a lot. And you may not even know at that time that you are learning, but somebody will ask you a question, or you'll think about something. You're like, oh wait, I know the answer to that. I know my experiences. I learned how for somebody to not to run a cannabis brand, especially if you don't have a true interest in the plant, whether it's medicating with it, or whether just knowing the power and the benefits of it and wanting to allow others that aspect or that access. You don't have that, stay your ass out the industry, or be a silent investor. Do something, but other than that, don't do it, because you're not giving the best product, and you're not doing what you're not doing right by any potential customers or just the industry period, and you're taking an opportunity away from somebody else who could and want to do their do a thing right. So I like that you say that. But women, if you have an interest, if you grow, you successfully, because unlike me, I am not successful at keeping fresh basil plants.
I can't grow anything other than cannabis. I don't know what it is now. Like it's tough.
My husband's great at it. My husband and my younger one, they can keep stuff. Like we've had, succulents and things like that. I overwater them. I just something. But if you have an innate interest, if you successfully grow your own vegetables and fruits, or if you can keep herbs, alive, and you're interested about how the plant works, and you have a little bit of that science, interest, look into it. And then you're looking at how to get into the industry. Look into cultivation, especially Black women or any woman of color. I say this and I say this all the time. Women are the closest to this plant. It's a female plant, but because we have the same characteristics as the plant has, as far as providing, nurture, providing care, providing, wellness. We understand the benefit of the plant in that aspect. A woman, and I think it's going to be a woman of color, could be the one that cultivates a plant that truly provides the cure for cancer, truly provides the cure for diabetes or something like that. Like I truly 1000% with every fiber of my being believe that these cures are there within the plant. And so we need individuals that want to be able to provide that. And I think that, like I said, it will happen through a woman because we're powerful, we're connected, we have that interest. We don't get so gold rush, let me make the money aspect of it. We're still thinking about what this could provide for, well, people that I love, my family, future, generational wealth, all of that. So that aspect is very strong to me too. So I love that you did that. And your experience to me is an example of what somebody could do. If you have the time, like I said, you have no babies, you don't have any other obligations, continue on through your education. Take those opportunities from being a bud tender to moving to the back to maybe management, maybe marketing, whatever it may be. Take the opportunities to be in incubators whenever you can. You know, all those opportunities are incubators and, you know, for better success. So hubby did share, you know, a snippet of the cookbook. I do want to talk about that. Like I said, I received the cookbook, felt very blessed to do so. And so I had a couple of people over for a couple of podcast recordings, and the hummus was a big hit. And
Nice.
the wings, yeah, it was the wings. If I'm not mistaken. What was your motivation for creating the cookbook, and how did you come up with the recipes? Like, how did you just streamline them down to 40? Because I'd probably be coming out with, you know, number 4, you know, with the 40 more recipes because I couldn't help it. Yeah. So how'd you do that? Tell us about that process.
Yeah, so the co-author and my business partner, Dennis Haynes, we're kindergarten classmates, and at the time he had just published his first book, and he came up to the Bay. He was on a book tour, and we were just kind of chopping it up. And I want to say he's the one that had like, oh, like I want to write a cannabis infused cookbook, and I'm like, oh, okay, that would be dope, because where I was mentally was identifying like, how can I start to generate revenue or make money in my sleep? We're talking about generational wealth.
Yes.
And so I was like, okay, yeah, like that sounds dope, like let's do it. Because he had the experience as being an author and already written his first book. I had the cannabis experience, and also too, my dad's side of the family, they have a catering experience as well. So yeah, that's kind of how it came about. It was just a random thought, and then things evolved when it comes to Greenlight projects. So not only do we do the books, but we also do events as well. We have a cannabis infused cooking demo coming up March 10th at 7 p.m. It's a free event where we partner with the local chef. They're doing infused lobster tacos and cilantro rice.
Shut up. Oh my gosh. Now, is this
Yeah.
going to be something that people can stream? Is it just in person? Do I have to buy my ticket and get down to LA for Thursday?
Yeah,
What?
yeah, no, it's online on Zoom. It's completely free. So all you have to do is register for the event, and you'll be able to gain access to the event.
Oh, cilantro rice is like my favorite. Cilantro lime. Oh my god, so good.
Yeah.
First year the hubby started teaching, he had a class that I don't know how I fell upon it. I cooked. He took lunch every day. Like whatever I cooked, I made extra. So we going with pork chops or whatever. That's when we ate pork, but whatever it was. And the students were like, "That's what I make that for lunch." And so they started asking. You know, he would be like, "This student asked for my leftovers and meatloaf or whatever." So I said, "Tell them this." I said, "If they pass, their finals or do whatever, I'll go ahead and cook for them." So I came into the class and I asked what they wanted. These pot roast, potatoes. We want this that you made this time. And I was like, okay. I said, so how about we do a little bit of a potluck? I'll make mainly the stuff that you guys bring, the fillers.
Yeah.
One time it became such a normal thing. Honestly, we had themes. So one time it was Mexican food. One girl in his class, her mom made the best cilantro lime rice. It got to the point that every time we did something, I don't care what it was, I was like, we know what you're bringing.
Yeah.
That's cilantro lime. So good. You remember her name, babe?
Just on the spot like that. I know who you're talking about.
Think about it. Shout, because I want to shout her and her mom out. No, so I will definitely be taking part in that. So do you do collaborations with a lot of chefs? Have you ever heard of what now I'm Chef Matt?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
Great. Shout
We
out to
do.
Chef Matt. He is
y-
the very first person in the industry that I would say that I contacted, and I found him through Twitter because he was advertising infused Thanksgiving meals, and he tagged like a bunch of celebrities. And I thought it was
Mhm.
genius. Like first was Snoop. I will never forget. It was like Snoop and a few others. And I hit him up and I said, I think that's super smart. Like I would love to work with you. Um, and we just kind of created a friendship and an kind of business partnership from there. He's been on the pod. Um, Super
Nice.
excited at what he's doing. I know he has some of his items are with Pantry. And he cooks in Vegas, like he's at everything. So yeah.
Yeah.
So do you but do you do a lot of collaborations, and do you focus more on education, private events? Tell us a little bit about that aspect of your business.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Chef Matt. He is an inspiration and doing so many big things in the
Yeah.
industry. Somebody that Greenlight Project looks up to for sure, just in terms of his involvement and how he's pioneering in the industry. But yeah, we do partner with local chefs out in LA. Interestingly enough, so far who we've worked with, they actually haven't cooked with cannabis before. And that's typically the demographic that we get for the cooking demos in itself. And it's a great opportunity for us because we're able to actually help shift the narrative or that perspective around the stigma of cooking with cannabis or cannabis in general, and really educate people like it's not as difficult as you may think it is, and have someone there doing a live demo to really showcase how simple it is to infuse whatever it is that you're already making. Like it doesn't have to be something crazy or elaborate. We do like to have the chef do whatever their favorite dish is or something that they are really passionate about, so that there is that connection. But we also want to make sure that it's relatable. So we send out the list of ingredients. They can decide to cook along if they want, or they can just kind of come and attend and ask questions and watch themselves.
I love that because chefs they have to be part of the industry. They have to have that understanding, and they have to understand that it's not competition. This is something that actually can, expand your awareness, expand your, your talent, and what it is that you provide. Chefs are going to be the practitioners. We're working along with the medical profession, but they're going to be the practitioners in a way, the ones that get that information out. Not everything has to be that brownie experience that you had in college. Or, I think a lot of people relate edibles to that. Oh, I don't want that Rice Krispie treat. I don't want that cookie. Somebody gave me a brownie and I was in the corner for 45 days, having a drink. It's not that. And edibles, food and drink, I say this, they're going to be such a huge part of this industry in the next 3 to 5 years. It's going to be normal. I think it'll get so much to the point that the products will have to be in their own storefront, not so much in a dispensary. I think it's going to get to the point where, you go to like Vegas and other parts of the country, they have just CBD stores, CBD wellness stores. That's it.
Yeah.
So same way, I think it'll venture into that. What if I, just a client, I want to do an event, and I contacted you. You would take them from point A to point B throughout the whole planning process, or is it just the actual, like the infused meal, or do you have all kind of services that you provide?
Yeah, so right now we're just focusing on the events that we provide. And like pre-pandemic, we did right before we did our first ePuff paint. So we had, a paint instructor. We had some edibles that were samples from the book, just to showcase some of the recipes that we have in there. And, we had that kind of vibe. We've done a game night before. So right now we're more focused on the events aspect. And with the culinary part, we're partnering with different chefs that already do that. We did a little bit of catering ourselves, like the wings and the cookies, desserts and stuff like that. But we're shifting right now to more so just focused on the events and providing that experience when it comes to people who want to experience an elevated event.
Yeah. I love that. And of course, that's what you studied. So, you have that hospitality tourism side and part of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you ever see yourself expanding into, because that's a huge market that took a huge hit during the pandemic, the cannabis tourism and hospitality side. There are a few.
Mhm.
I know there's a bed and breakfast in this area that is an elevated bed and breakfast. Do you see yourself? I know me. I have a whole list of things that I want to do as an entrepreneur
Yeah.
and that I will do.
Yep.
Is that something that you could see for yourself because that was your initial, focus in college, starting some type of something within the industry, whether it be a
Yeah.
resort, whether it be,
Yeah.
that's something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
And where,
Agree.
if I could
Oh,
say, if I was like, girl, I got a secret. I have a magic wand and I can make
yeah.
anything happen for you. So if whatever, you don't have to share your idea because I always say you don't put it out there because you don't want somebody else to grasp onto that. What location would that idea take place in? What would be the perfect location for you?
Man, it's hard to say because I've been between LA because that's where we're from. It makes sense. It's LA. A lot of people come here.
Yes.
But also I've had ideas as well as far as Jamaica too. In terms of that tourism. There's actually a company out there that that does that. So yeah, it would definitely be somewhere where there's this beach kind of vibe and vacation relaxation kind of thing.
Yeah,
For sure.
that's exactly what I was thinking. I was thinking you were going to say something tropical, something in that effect, and
Yeah.
Jamaica kept popping out there. I think a wellness resort kind of deal where your meals are high value, but they're infused. Then you can get some other type of wellness, and you can utilize the plant in any aspect that you want, intimacy wise, just fun, hanging out on the beach or whatever it is. So whatever it is, girl, let me know. I'm in there with you. I'm there to market or do whatever I can. Sorry, my friend that we're supposed to go wine tasting just a second. So what would you say to somebody that first, let me go back. What would you tell yourself 10 years ago? What advice would you give you 10 years ago about what road you need to take or, what is your next step in your journey? Like, would you, because I know for myself 10 years ago, I would have been like, girl, it's going to be okay. It's all going to be okay. Like, these are things that you need to do to be able to get to where you want to be. But so what was advice that you would give yourself?
Yeah. I think it just like what you mentioned, like stick to the process. Like, even though if I know what I know now, if I had that, then like I could be so much further ahead. But actually, like everything happens for a reason when it happens. And so just because I had that information and could have, potentially done X, Y, and Z, it doesn't mean that I would have been in a state, whether it's maturity wise or mentality wise, to be able to actually manage and sustain what it was that I'm ultimately looking to get. And so, yeah, I think it's just, enjoy the process. Enjoy the process.
Yeah.
Is what I would tell myself.
And kind of piggybacking off of that, there's during the process to success are a lot of failures, and people see those as stopping points, or as a sign for me not to do this. What would you say is your biggest failure, and what did you learn from it?
Man, so I guess I can take it, back to the cultivation aspect when I maybe I had some kind of infestation with some pest or something like that. That was definitely something that was challenging because I know that I have this potential and I know what I can produce, but for whatever reason, I'm going through this temporary challenge and not being able to produce at a high level. And so just being able to stick with it and stay determined and stay focused on the goal, identifying where to pivot and not giving up.
I love that. That was definitely my motto for all. You see, the word's already there. He already has it because that's exactly what I think is. I'm a huge fan of Friends. And so we always, I don't know if you've seen the episode where they're moving a couch and Ross keeps going, pivot. So that's how I was saying it. I was like, this is the time to do that, to just pivot in whatever aspect you want. And like I was saying, if you're not making any changes, if you're the same person doing the same shit that you were doing in 2018 and 19, when you had all of 2020, and a little bit of 2021 to make changes for yourself, I can't mess with you. Being that you are a life coach, and you're doing your own continuous work on making yourself better, what do you say towards those type of individuals who are in a perpetual slump because it's self-induced? What would you say? What kind of advice would you give to somebody on that?
Yeah, I think, being able, always starting with identifying, like, are you getting the results that you want? No, you're not. So now that you're aware that you're not getting what you want, what are you going to do to change it? Insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. So really just, that self-awareness piece is something that's so big, and it was really big for me to actually identify, like, okay, this is what's happening because of what I'm doing. If I want different results, I need to do something different. So really just taking that step of self-awareness. And for me, what it was taking an assessment. I don't know if you heard of the DISC assessment. It's something similar to like Myers-Briggs, where it gives you a ratio of your behaviors and your tendencies. And so with that, I was able to actually identify that I'm a people person. I'm great at networking. I've always known these things, but I was never able really to kind of like identify that as a strength. And so now that I know that that's a strength, that's where I put all my focus and my energy into. And I then surround myself with other people who have strengths in my blind spots or in the areas that I'm not as strong. And so within that, now we're able to operate all in our superpowers and, ultimately accomplish and achieve anything that we set our mind to.
Yes. Two heads are better than one. People need to, there's knowledge in those old kind of quotes, those old timey quotes or whatever, or thoughts. Collaboration's huge for me. And I've noticed that once I kind of started focus on collaborating, my brand has grown. My podcast opportunities have grown. Me being a featured speaker, that's grown. I love how you said networking. You've said that a couple of times, and that's a nugget. You guys network. I have grown my contacts through social media, offering to collaborate, inviting other podcasters on to be a guest co-host, me going on there. 2 weeks ago, I did 3 podcasts. Back to back was a guest on them. It helps to expand, and it also, like you said, whatever your blind spot or your weakness is, you will be able to start attracting people that have those. And then you just innately start learning, and you're able to hone that skill. And that's a muscle that then you're able to continue to work, make stronger and work out on. So I love that you say that. What would you say is this, the part of success? Because I will say this, the LA scene in cannabis is probably, well, not probably, is successful there in the Bay. Here in the Valley and in good old Sactown, it's like we're 5 years behind. And this is where everything kind of started. Like, this is where the 215 and everything started, but we're so behind. My theory is because we're so close to the bureaucracy of politics, because we're here. We are a little clicked up. And then we don't have the opportunities to have events and things like that, like LA. For example, I was just nominated for the Orange County Cannabis Music Awards for a Best Educator. That's a whole community. Like, they're doing things, right? What would you say? And I think the LA and the Bay definitely have the whole equity aspect down to a T. I'm sure there could, from down there, people are saying, oh, this can be fixed, this can be fixed. We're not even where they are. We have a couple of success stories, Black women, like the owner of Crystal Nugs, who's actually coming out with their own line and opening what will be the biggest dispensary, cultivation, manufacturing location in Sacramento, and she's owning it. But we have a few stories versus a few handfuls, different handfuls of stories that come out of LA. For example, latest one, Josephine and Billy's. So you have Gorilla RX. I talked about them last week. Like, you have so many storefronts and other businesses that are Black owned. What would you say adds to the success there? And what do you love about the industry as a whole there in LA?
Yeah, I think it's going back to what you mentioned in terms of just the networking and collaboration and the diversity that is there. LA in itself is, a melting pot, so to speak. I mean, California a lot, but
Yeah.
LA,
Oh,
the
yeah.
Bay Area,
Mhm.
so that it forces you to naturally be around in environments where you have that diversity. So you have this innovation with people to be able to collaborate with different perspectives and different ideas, different
Yeah.
backgrounds, and that ultimately is what can allow your team and your company to be successful, because it's not just this one perspective, being able to have multiple perspectives. So that's what I would say: the networking and the collaboration, the partnership, and really having the mindset of like, it's not like there's enough for us all. That's something that's really big, because something that's for you is going to be for you. So not having that, oh, I don't want to share what I'm doing
Mhm.
because I'm afraid that this person is, who can be in a completely different lane. Just
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
having that mentality that there's enough out here for everybody, and
Everybody.
wanting to see other people win.
Yeah. It's a plant, guys. It grows. Go ahead. We need some more. Go ahead and grow it. Like, but there is opportunities because there's so many different places and ways for you to be involved with cannabis. I don't touch the plant at all. That is a goal of mine. That's something that I'm looking into, becoming more educated. My husband, grown, he's done some awesome things. That's why I'm saving to buy land right now. But
Yeah.
I do other aspects. I help with the business side of it. I help with the marketing, content creating, the media aspect. So there's so many ways for people to get in. And so there's, like you said, there's a lot more collaboration. Um, I think they're having an event it's like having another event. It's like having a Hollywood party. Here, somebody hears that you want to have a cannabis event, you want to use their spot, they're going to let you use their spot, but it's not going to be the same prices as what they allow for any other event. So there's a little too much bullshit, for lack of a better word, involved. Now, I know that you're interested in the advocacy side too. Do you work with any specific program that does equity, or are you looking to work with one, or anyone that you support and you would like to shout out?
I don't directly, but there's the MMJ Medicals for Marijuana that I follow. The Last Prisoner
Yeah.
Project
Oh,
that I follow, and so yeah, I definitely could see. Okay, yep,
right here,
exactly.
evidence, part of the last. Yep, and I support them, and you guys can also support them. They're on my website where you can donate to them as well. So I love that you said, yeah, I love them. Um, Very important to have organizations like that, and people that are bringing that to the forefront, bringing I don't want to say the salacious side, but the where we've been disenfranchised. Bringing that
Yes.
to the forefront, not hiding that. Well, these opportunities are here now, and allowing that to
Mhm.
overshadow the years
Mhm.
and years and years the lies were created, and that it was a strategic movement to eradicate and to
Press.
put black men in jail and black and people of color in jail and or whatever
Yep.
else over this plant. Um,
Yep.
yeah, so I love that too. I love everything that you say so far. But so what is what can we you know expect from you over 2022? We're 3 months in already, but before we know it, it'll be
I
Christmas.
know, for
Uh,
real. Absolutely. I complete. We're gonna do it all over again.
yeah,
Christmas, New
all over.
Year's,
I
all
know,
that.
right? So fast,
All that.
so fast. So yeah, what is it that we can expect and that we should be looking out for from Coach Ash?
Yeah, definitely. When it comes to Greenlight Project, we're doing an event every month, whether it be a culinary cooking demo. We may start to transition back to in-person classes,
Okay.
so something like that for sure. But some kind of event, virtually or in person, with Greenlight Project. And then with Winning Coaching, we're just out here looking to help these companies go to the next level. Companies
Mhm.
that have gotten past the I'm just trying to survive stage and they're looking to be able to thrive, help them invest in their management teams and their leaders that they have so that they can do that.
Awesome. And that is super important. And I love that you right now, we don't everybody's lifting the mask and all that. I mean, if we look at the numbers, we're on the tail end. But look, some of y'all are hard headed. Okay. So which is why we're in, going into almost third year of our
Yeah.
lives being different. We never
Yeah.
know. And this virus may be like, y'all think y'all have, please. Here's the new strain. You never know what's going to happen. But was it hard for you to pivot from in-person events to virtual events? And now that you've been doing it for some time, do you see the benefit of that? Like, do you think that it has a place within this industry to still provide those virtual events?
Yeah, it definitely was hard because we had just started to gain momentum. We're a small company. It just happened. We didn't necessarily have a plan for it. And so we were just starting to gain momentum with our first Eat Puff Paint event. And so when it happened, it was like, oh, dang, okay, we can't do that anymore. And so it took us a while to actually identify, even though I've been doing like Zoom before the pandemic and hosting these calls and different things like that. It took us a while to actually kind of like make that pivot. And so now I think one of the benefits from being able to do it is that we're now able to reach a broader audience. So it doesn't have the exact same feel of the in-person event, because like our events, people come because of the vibe, because of the energy, because of the experience. And so we're able to replicate that in a similar manner when it comes to being virtual, but it's not exactly the same. But we are able to reach a broader audience. We have people from Puerto Rico, out of state, who like in their state, like cannabis is illegal. So this is an outlet where they're able to actually learn about, maybe what's to come or what the potentials are and the benefits and things like that.
1000%. And for those that maybe aren't mobile,
yes,
or for whatever reason, maybe it's physical, maybe it's emotional, maybe it's somebody just, they're not checking for the world, they're like, you know what, I don't like people, and they just want to be by themselves or whatever it may be. That is good for people that kind of live, I don't want to say off the grid, but those that are like, look, let me live farthest away from people that I can. Would you ever be open to, with the viral events, if there's products that someone needs to have for this event, teaming up with a brand that would be able to deliver or provide those products to the customers? Is that something that you guys would ever, consider? And okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're always open to collaborations and partnerships when it comes to the events or just in general, identifying ways to support one another, for sure.
That's awesome. And that's another way of networking, guys. That is networking. That's collaboration. That is, using, and a lot of people like to say that's using other people. No, you guys are helping each other. You're catapulting each other by providing a broader audience, by providing a service or whatever it may be. We've got to get away from that, I'm going to do it for self or do it by myself so much, because that's what we've always, especially as people of color, that's what we've always come, that's been our obstacle, is getting the support of others. And so we're always like, we got to do it ourselves. But what that is that it's a detriment to you, and that's a detriment to, the community and the one that you can be building and those people that may need what you have. So kind of getting out of that mindset, and then being open to what's out there is very important. So I'm going to ask one last question, and it's pretty hard. Pretty proud of myself when I came up with this one, but no. What is? Hold on, I just had it. Sorry, I was looking through my list and I was like, "This is the one I want to ask." Yes. So, if you could hold on to one memory from your life forever, what would that memory be?
Man, that is an interesting question. One memory. Yeah, I think it would be some kind of travel experience. For sure.
Where's your favorite place?
My favorite place, it's probably been Africa.
Okay, nice. And what part?
Yeah,
everybody thinks
I went to yeah. I went to Botswana.
Nice.
So it's
nice.
Southern country out there.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I went there for school, or because of school. So yeah.
Okay. Well, see, I'm glad that my 10-year-old's not listening because he just told us the other day that he wants to study abroad in Japan, so that we better pay for it. We were like, boy, you better save up and get a study abroad program.
Yeah.
So you definitely took advantage while you were in school. I mean, you took advantage and you traveled and what so that was we'll stick with your answer about your traveling, but to kind of expand on that, what motivated you to get into the master's program? And that'll be the last question, because I want people to know about that if they're interested. If you already have your your bachelor's degree and you're like, oh well, this is something I might be interested in.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's actually, it was the master's program that allowed me to go to Africa. But in terms of that, it was I actually was like, I don't know, like I've been in the industry. Do I really need to go? Like, what is this for? But ultimately for me, it was to be able to add credibility to what it is that we do. So like, because the industry is so new, like it may not even the degree that I have, it may not even start to actually like make sense or have some kind of traction until 5 years from now, 10 years from now. But it's something that I've already accomplished and that I've done to where I have it as a tool in my toolkit. If I need to leverage it to where I can go now teach at other universities, I can go teach at JCs. When it comes to cannabis education and exposure, I now have that option. So it was really just to be able to have more options within the industry and not necessarily, be limited to, oh, well, because you don't have this, then,
Yeah. So I love it you say that. I'm smiling so much because I'm back in school and everybody's like, why? And I'm like, well, because to add that credibility, I know that I have the skills and I know that I have the interest and I know that but just to add that credibility. And then once again, continuing, your brain's a muscle. So continuing to exercise that and making yourself even more educated through the science aspect of it is fantastic.
Was that an online program or in-person program?
Thankfully it was online because we started in the end of 2019. So when 2020 happened and everything shut down, we actually didn't have much of a transition other than we would meet in person once a semester. So unfortunately, we only were able to meet one time at the beginning of the program, and then everything else was online. So yeah.
And you said you started in December of 19, you said?
It was August, I think.
August. Okay.
August, of 19, and then graduated May of 21. So it's a 2-year program.
So that was nothing. That was just 2 years, just about. That's awesome. That's fantastic. And to know that you are, graduate of it, there's not many women in the industry other than, those that have like medical degrees themselves that are, that have that knowledge, but also have that title, so that's very important. And you should definitely, if it's not starting your own program, you're speaking, you're expert speaking, because you have it. And to see a woman of color who's young in like the medical aspect in like a expo or whatever, maybe a conference, would be leaps and bounds and would say so much. And I'm sure you'd be very popular. And you know how when people come around and they want, oh, they're so impressed because it's a Black woman doing something, but that's something that can inspire, a 13-year-old who knows that maybe her grandma or her mom, use cannabis to help them live a better life. That could be motivation to her as well. So you just know that, you are your purpose and what you're doing is based in true divinity. And I feel so grateful and so blessed. And I mean, that email, I remember when I got that night, I was like, babe, oh my God, this is awesome. Still as excited as I was then, even more so in finally speaking with you. Your energy is just, it's overflowing. It's just everything, or everything about you.
Thank you.
Skin's glowing. That must be, from inside, it's glowing inside out. So I want everybody to please go support, because this is definitely somebody in the industry that you can learn from, you can be inspired from, and that possibly if you're in the industry, whatnot, maybe you can collaborate with, because I definitely will be hitting you up, I think, about some collabs here.
Yes, please do.
Yeah, you cannot. How can you not take part in something that's free and virtual? So please make sure that you go support, you register. Her links and everything will be in the show notes, as well as they've been going, across the banner the whole time. But that's how you're going to be able to go ahead and register for the event. I'm going to register, so I will share it on my Instagram and my Twitter, as well as my website. So if for some reason you guys are like,
Perfect.
I don't know where to go, you know where to start. All right. So you guys can message me or do whatever you need to so that we can get you in that class as well. Make sure that you like, follow, subscribe to everything that she is doing. And I definitely I want to thank you. I think this has been a great first, episode with a woman, and a woman who's definitely going to be recognized in our history. She's creating it now, so you guys are watching it right now. But for Women's History Month, remember we are very powerful beings, and that we need to, grasp and define and just really live within the power that we have, because it's a blessing not only to us but so many others. I know in my life I
Yes.
want to live a footprint of significance in the lives of others. I hope that Menage with Mary Jane Maven does that in some aspect. What would be your closing, if your mic drop for this episode? We'll go ahead and we'll leave it with our guest co-host. You can go ahead and you drop some
Yeah.
knowledge. You're Kanye West.
Yeah. Real quick, I just want to say thank you so much to you and the Hubs for having me. Just appreciate it. Looking forward to the next one and what's to come. And my last words would be small steps, great distances. Small
Hey.
steps, great distances.
I love that. That might be the title for this episode. I don't know. Bars right there. Dylan. Fire. You guys have to know that. You guys have to know. If not, you should not be watching my pod. Don't get. All right. Much love to everybody. Please go have a lovely weekend. For California, our weather's kind of shitty. It's been great all week, but now it's kind of back to being shitty. But go out and live life. Have some fun. Hug your kids. Tell somebody that you love them. Deeply kiss your significant other. There's power in that passion. Make out like you used to in junior high school. Just be present. Be in love with life. Love and light to everybody. Once again, thank you so much, Coach Ash. We are so grateful.
Thank you.
And everybody,
Thank you.
thank you for spending this time with us. I will see you all soon. Much love.